region around the Great Lakes has been called the heartland. When it comes to agriculture, there's hardly an area in the world that compares.
Everybody, just hold on. I don't know what we're going to have here.
There's a lot of self-proclaimed geniuses out there that know the national yield, but they're all wrong.
Manage money, piling in.
Double digits higher.
So at this point, we're in kind of uncharted territory.
There's a lot of money on the sidelines.
So that was a crazy one.
That's what brings the viewers back. That a boy.
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, October 13th, and this is the AgYield War Room. I'm Dan Dempsey, and I'll be moderating today's session. As always, if you got any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a line in the chat area. We'll be sure to get to it during the show. Overnight markets here, December corn up a quarter at 413 1/4. November soybeans were up 2 3/4 at 1009 1/2. And December Chicago wheat was down 3 1/4 at 495 1/4. Government still shut down, so we got no export sales announcements here this morning. I guess the big news on Friday was the back and forth between China and the United States. There were a number of truce that were posted by President Trump. He has since come out yesterday softening some of that rhetoric. And then just a little bit ago, Secretary Bessent said that they are still on track to meet in South Korea, and that there's a path to not increase those tariffs by 100%. So, like I said, things are kind of softening here a little bit this morning. Beans closed, near their highs in the overnight session here this morning. So we'll have to see if there's any follow through. Still got a government shutdown, guys. No data coming out. We won't get crop progress here this afternoon. There's private estimates that are kind of getting us close to that 50% mark as things are rocking and rolling for corn and bean harvest there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then weather looks good, so we should continue to see guys getting this crop out. And the last piece of info, CONAB will be out tomorrow morning with their first 25-26 estimates. So at least we'll get a little bit of data to throw at the market and see where we're at there. With that, Dustin, good morning. Hope you guys had a great weekend. What are your thoughts here as we start the week?
Yeah, it's a lot of confusion revolving around trade policy. I think the market's response on Friday was clearly that there was some hope that we would start to get a deal where Chinese purchases of U.S. beans would be front and center here within the next month. With Trump meeting with China in the next couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden canceled. So I don't know what to. I don't think that anyone has a great feeling about how things are going. Right? It seems like anytime that there's any sort of progress, we take another step back at some point. So the longer we go without China buying, the worse it may be for our carryout. How fast can they catch up? Especially with them buying a lot of Argentinian beans here recently. So we'll see. The break on Friday has not been matched by a Sunday night rebound yet. So I think that's my point. Is that the market's not just saying, okay, I guess that's off again. And the same thing goes for equity markets, right? We haven't retraced all of what we lost on Friday either on that side. This is an important month still. We're going to be finishing out this crop insurance harvest price discovery. So in effect, if there was going to be some issues with China, it's better to be known right now, right while the derivatives are still active. And the reason is, if you put, 450 corn in the bin at the end of this month and zero insurance payments, that's much different than putting 370 corn in the bin and getting 70 cents of insurance payments, right? The later has much less risk as far as what the future returns can be on that corn if it's left unsold, which is largely the case in October. A majority of the crop has not been sold yet by the end of October. So for our again, we cannot predict what's going to happen for policy. We just have to work around what the right kind of balance is, whether it's a bull or bear market. And I think that the risks are starting to rise again as insurance expires. And our focus is going to be on how do we ensure that a floor is extended beyond October. That's our main this week especially, we're being looking at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, what's on your mind? I know we were talking before the show. Huge jump in open interest in corn coming off of last week, up 22,000 on Friday there. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's some commercial buying. End users, we always talk about the farmer getting stuck in a moving one way because we kind of look through that lens, but I don't think they saw necessarily a 35-cent rally heading into harvest of this magnitude, and then kind of getting confirmed with an additional 200 million bushels on the quarterly stocks report. So I think there's going to be buyers all the way down. If we continue to break, we're going to look at a tremendous amount of volume of corn hitting the pipeline over the next few weeks. I think with the acres that we have, we'll still be harvesting corn probably up to maybe mid-November. I think the next 2 weeks are critical as people switch from beans to corn, and how fast the system can absorb those, get them moved, keep space open, and continue to service their clients. You get plugged, basis falls back. No one has an excitement about owning the board, and there could just be a bleed out. But kind of to Dustin's points, there's so many things that you could talk about right now that we have no clue about. So reverting back to the matrix for decision making has never been more important.
Absolutely. Jace, what are your thoughts on the markets? I mean, just I don't think anybody woke up on Friday morning with that on their bingo card that we were going to get into a back and forth with China going after the world,
Yeah. No, that's kind of my focus, is keep powder dry, kind of keeping an eye on the outside markets. Not a lot of fresh news for grain markets. I mean, I think we've talked about, right, come crop insurance expiration is key, and how the market trades into the end of November. So yes, policy is going to drive a lot of at least short-term moves, I think, in grains, or at least the perception of what's tweeted by Trump or JD Vance. I think put something out that kind of going into the futures open to the stock market. I think that was intentional, to try to cool down the fear a little bit, but it's going to come down, it's going to come back to what actually happens. Gold fresh highs today, crude's bouncing a little bit. Equities to Dustin's point, come back about half of their move yesterday. So it seems to be a little bit of calming seas right now. And I do think it's a little telling. Beans are only up 3, corn's actually lower. So there wasn't this sharp rebound in grains overnight. So a lot of that sell-off, I think, was kind of the things we're talking about, some of the fundamental factors that there's a weakness in the underlining trade in grains, in my opinion, and that catalyst Friday just, I think maybe gave the people the confidence, the traders the confidence to actually push it lower. So yeah, be interesting to see. I'll be kind of on the sidelines watching a little bit, but wait to make a move. But yeah, so I don't really have a grand idea here. Just
be patient, right?
Be patient.
Patience.
There's no. I think we've said this, right? You got to be prudent. You got to, in our opinion, as a company, you got to have some sort of floor under these markets, because we still think the risk is lower, and hopefully something changes. But I mean, if you look at everything right now, Dustin's done the homework on, he put that great chart up of total production. And if you start to play around with these yield numbers on the I states and you reduce them dramatically, it doesn't move the needle probably enough on the supply side. I do think demand is really robust in corn, so I think we have built a really, low prices have tried, right? I mean, this bear market's had a long tail, so we've built a lot of really good demand, so that's good. And this year's kind of an outlier. We planted a bunch of acres, and it's just going to be I think Ben was making this point, right? It's going to be this battle between demand and supply. It could just be kind of a boring market. So
Very good. We got a couple minutes here. Right from Friday, cattle was really the only market to close higher, which was pretty impressive. And without government data, there's a lot of chatter that we're seeing pretty good liquidation from the funds and hogs. So why don't you get us started for the week on livestock?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the market initially sold off. We made traded under the previous session's low and then right back up. It looked like cash started to trade. You had a firmer beef market towards the end of the week. So the beef is starting to firm up. Cash sounds like we're going to be close to $4 to $5 higher. It sounded like trade in Texas started to get up to about 234, 235 trade in Kansas. So this is really what the market wanted to see, is that there was some real legs to this rally here. So we're right knocking on the door of contract highs again on the live side of the market. Feeders, new contract highs there. We've had 6 consecutive sessions higher. So I think at this point you are going to draw out a lot of that producer hedging, but absolutely. I mean, it does kind of feel like, how much higher does it need to go at this point? Obviously, the technicals project much higher, but I think I don't want to put the cart before the horse too much. But all in all, it's definitely kind of a friendly setup coming in. There's some fear that we're getting a little bit overbought, but also there's just some comments, circulating on social media, and I don't really know if there's any credibility to them, but some tweets about President Trump possibly, increasing quotas of beef with the Argentinian president on their meeting. I don't know if there's any legs to that whatsoever. It's just been, I think a concern that the market was talking about, that we're going to start turning to other sources, without Brazil being heavily tariffed at this point, to really kind of change the supply chain a little bit with South America. So we'll see if there's anything to come of that. I think it's something to really kind of keep the focus on going into this week. But all in all, the chart speaks for itself. It's a pretty darn good market. And yeah, on the hog side of things, since we don't have the commitment of traders, we have seen this big down in open interest, and it just keeps on going the lower we go. And you would have expected the hog market, I think, to react with the outside markets, sharply lower, but we just didn't really see that. We did make a new low for the move. Open interest is still declining, but we did see cash markets start to stabilize just a little bit. Cash at 96.40, up 7. And the carcass was actually up, but overall, looking at some of the individual primals, bellies were down 226. So there's just not a lot of good news right now that's here to help the market. And at this point, we're not really oversold yet, just on an RSI, just off the RSI. So there still could be quite a bit more downside risk, especially if things start to escalate with China, or things get worse, or you hear some maybe more specificity in terms of what's going to get threatened in the longer term. So I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis on the headlines, but yeah, the market's still kind of trending lower, and kind of expect that continuation.
Very good. Appreciate the update there. We also appreciate everybody that tunes in on a daily basis. If you wouldn't mind, throw us a like and certainly subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to do so, and it'll keep you up to speed on everything that's going on with AgYield. So again, thanks to everybody that supports the show. We're doing this live every day that the markets are open on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, 8:15 Central Time. Appreciate the thoughts and comments here this morning, guys. It was a good show. Hope everybody has a great start to the week, and we look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.
The War Room is proudly presented by AgYield. For over 50 years, the AgYield team has provided grain marketing and risk management solutions for growers across the country. Our veteran consultants harness cutting-edge technologies to pinpoint risk, optimize market performance, and protect your farm's profitability. Discover a new approach to farm revenue management at agyield.com.
Hey guys, Jack here. Be sure to support the show by hitting the like button, leaving us a comment, and subscribing to the channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.